Hi, everyone. Welcome to Discovering the Power of Embedded Analytics, Unveiling Archera's Success with Sigma. So for everybody joining, let you get settled into the Bright Talk platform. And to give a couple moments as I see the number of attendees is rising. Now, throughout this presentation, there is a questions tab. It should be running along like the bottom of your screen, right about here. Feel free to fire questions at us throughout the presentation, and we'll be able to circle back to them at the end for Q&A. Now, this session is going to be recorded, so if you want to share it with anybody in your organization, or if you want to go back and watch the demos we present, that'll be available in an email just afterwards. And it'll also be hosted on our website under resources and then webinars that are on demand. You can also go to that resource section to sign up for future webinars like hands-on labs and some of our series of different Sigma personas that we're focusing on, like CRO and support. All right, so that's enough preamble. We'll actually get into the presentation now. Looks like everybody's joined. Again, it's going to be recorded. You'll get a recording afterwards and post questions throughout. We'll get rolling. So welcome for everybody on the West Coast. Thanks for getting up early. We're going to be talking about an embedded use case with one of our most successful customers, Archera. We're joined by their VP of Customer Success today. We'll actually have a nice little customer conversation to talk about, what it was like setting up Sigma, how to get embedded up started early, kind of differences between building versus buying different embed solutions or visualization tools. But at the start, we'll do introductions, talk about both companies, and again, quick plug for that questions bar. Fire any questions you have throughout, and we'll be able to answer them at the end, whether they're technical or a little bit more about like the ROI of embedding analytics for your customers. Myself, I'm a product marketing manager. I've been at Sigma for 3.5 years, former SC. I brought Michael Maltese on. Mike, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Michael Maltese. I'm an SE lead over here at Sigma. I've been here almost 3 years. I'll pass over to Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. If you want to give a quick introduction.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Sarah Husseini. I'm VP of Customer Success here at Archera, and I get to educate and teach all of our lovely customers how they can best utilize embedded reporting thanks to Sigma.
All right, so let's get some customer engagement here. I'm going to launch a poll, and this just helps us understand how technical to go and some topics to cover. So if you're new to embedded analytics, new to Sigma period, or if you're already kind of embedding with a homegrown tool or a competitor of ours that maybe got acquired by a major conglomerate that isn't giving the attention that they should anymore, or if you're already embedding Sigma, we'd like to know. So I'm going to leave that poll up because for folks that are completely net new, I'm going to start out with a quick introduction to some of Sigma's core features and where we kind of see ourselves fitting into the market. So I know some folks here are already embedding Sigma. So I have a few slides to follow this one right off the bat that talk about some new embedding features that we've launched. But high level, we're built for the cloud. We have no on-premise version. The product came into maturity around like 2020. So really, we wanted to focus on cloud data sources, the scalability that's provided by a Snowflake, a Databricks, or a BigQuery, and really be able to deploy in seconds to be able to provide a familiar spreadsheet-like interface so you can rapidly build visualizations with row-level detail in mind. So if you want to build pivot tables, bar charts, line charts, map charts, Sarah will be able to show you some of the ways that they've gotten pretty inventive with line charts within Sigma. All that is very possible to do within our familiar spreadsheet-like interface, and especially taking advantage of the scale that's now possible with cloud data warehouses. So don't think in terms of just million row tables. We can scale to billions of rows and billions of or millions of concurrent users. So in an embedded context, taking advantage of the caching layers of cloud data warehouses, be able to provide real-time results, and allowing what Mike and I will be able to show you later, just even configuration of embedded dashboards by those end users. So you can still take it further in terms of whether you want them to be able to make their own custom drill downs or visualizations, even in an embedded context as external users. Some fun new features. We take advantage now of dynamic warehouse roles. So if you have different warehouses tied to different roles within Snowflake, we can take advantage of that. That's going to be great for security, governance. If you're completely new to us, we could take advantage of your existing authentication methods for deploying in an embedded context. So if your end users aren't on your SSO, if it's a password and username that they have to log in, we could take advantage of what you've already pre-set up within security, within Sigma, even when we're embedding. That role switching is for Snowflake right now, as well as Postgres. We also launched version tagging, which is where we get into more of a software development lifecycle feature set. So if you have a dashboard in production, you can tag it as in production, and that's going to sync with GitHub. And then as you're working on drafts or something that's in staging, that it's still Q&A, as opposed to historically where you'd have to have a completely different dev instance or manage it all through code. What we do is a nice bridge between the two that use the spreadsheet-like interface to build new visualizations, and then you can manage whether it gets pushed to production through GitHub with these different version tags. And we also have expanded themed interfaces. So getting into more personalized experiences, we're going to build out more visualizations components like containers so that really for fit and finish, you can achieve what you need to within Sigma for different modals in that embed experience. And a sandbox. So rather than having to manually test things yourself, you can bring up the Sigma sandbox for embedding and test those different client IDs, session lengths, different user modes, and different account types that you are provisioning for, all without having to manually rig up your testing through a bunch of duct tape. That's what was done already this year. Again, quick plug for the questions bar. Any feature sets that you want follow up on, I sit very close to the product manager for Embed, so we'll be able to get answers for kind of the future incoming state. But high level, that's enough out of me. Sarah, can you talk us through just first an introduction to Archera?
Absolutely, yeah. Do you mind, will I be driving?
You can click through. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so Archera is a, custom, not too custom, but it's a cloud FinOps tool essentially. So those in the cloud world know that there's a lot of data that you need to make meaning of, and a lot of different activities that you can do to ensure your cloud costs are under control. So our, primary bread and butter for the tool is that optimization feature and functionality. We do, of course, offer forecasting, quite in-depth forecasting, and then also some generic visibility, where Sigma comes in is to really let us get deep into the data and make it valuable to individual organizations so they can bring in tag data, they can bring in various metrics that would make sense to their organization when telling the story of their cloud spend and their cloud journey. So overall, the tool is a free SaaS platform. Well, I shouldn't say free, it's freemium, I think is the term for it now. So we do offer cost optimizations, primarily what we call a guaranteed reserve instance. So for those in the cloud, they know that AWS does require you to commit to long commitment periods of 1 year and 3 year to get some good savings. We essentially ensure that you can get out of a commitment out of 30 days. So that's really where we make our money, because we do take what we call kind of like an insurance premium for offering that service, which makes the rest of the tool free of use, unless you have a need for really custom reporting and metrics, and something like a Sigma embedded reporting is required. In that case, we do unlock what we call a enterprise level of the tool. And with that enterprise level, they do get all of the custom reports that they need, custom metrics, and the visibility to tell the story to their leadership and drive accountability. for their organization when it comes to cost management. So, in addition to that, we do have here, sorry, I think I needed to expand that. Okay. So, we do offer in-depth forecasting, as I mentioned. So that's where you can come into what we call our scenario planner and create future scenarios and forecast out that spend according to your expected new usage. So that's been very helpful in addition to the Sigma embedded reporting to really drive decision making and take action to kind of offset their spend. But then the Sigma piece comes in to tell the story of what they actually did. So the forecasting tool complements well because they can predict their future spend, hopefully try to do something about it to offset their spend as they see what their spend could look like. Then the Sigma reporting comes into more of QBR discussions to talk about, well, this is what you actually did, and show back their efforts in terms of cost offsetting. Should I get into the demo?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got questions, but I think once
Go
the
for it.
audience sees, if you show what you've built first, I think that kind of grounds the questions I'll be asking.
Sure. So when you say what we built first, you're talking about the tool?
Well, the embedded Sigma experience.
Yeah, cool. So let me go ahead and share my screen here.
And I got the results of the poll back. Looks like we got 45% of people that are new to embedding, some people that are embedding another tool, and other folks that are also currently embedding Sigma. So, Sarah, you have contemporaries on the line that have also built some stuff that they'll be comparing your work against.
Oh, very cool. Well, hopefully we can, inspire or maybe drive any questions. So looking here, this is an example dashboard that we've built out. This is kind of what we demo to customers in terms of functionality. Of course, they can become more specific. You can see here at the top, we do have what we call total year-to-date cost, which is going to be like a running cost metric. And then we have last month's cost, which can help compare how they're performing to this current month. And then you can see here we do have some metrics around, performance to show that they've been able to successfully decrease their costs due to some actions that they may have taken. Scrolling down some more, you can see here we do have date range filtering ability. So you can select specific date ranges. And then here we do have like a general layered report, which will allow people to see their, total daily cost in comparison to the accumulated cost through the month. So you can see here that this customer is pretty stagnant, but there's been some spiky days that they can drill into to get more visibility into. Is that expected, or is that an anomalous situation? And then you can see here further, we do have some more layered reports that allow you to get really granular into, okay, this is your daily spend as a whole, but also what services are driving that spend. And this is really helpful because it allows people to see, well, are they spending on services where they need to be? Are the services they're spending in optimizable? So is there something they can do to reduce that cost? So like in this customer's use case, you can see here that this is a optimizable cost, Amazon EC2 spend. So they can go into the Archera platform and, buy commitments to reduce that spend, hopefully see a further reduction in future months. Scrolling down here, we can, get into some other pie charts. Some of these will have drill down functionality. So you can see here, if you right click, this is cost by service. I'm right clicking on the AWS EC2 service. So if we were to drill down, now they can get more visibility into, well, what instances are actually driving that spend. And the reason that's valuable is because they can go in and see which instances are their big spend drivers and get very specific on what they're committing to reduce and really drive that spend down. So give that a moment. Sometimes when I'm sharing my screen, this loading can take a second here. But while that loads, you can also see here we have some bar graphs as well that are going to be showing out cost by family. And then here, this loaded. So then we can see here the different instance types that are really driving that spend and get granular there. So that's just an example of one of the drill down types you can do. You can add several layers and keep drilling down if needed. And then, scrolling down here some more, we do have what we call elasticity reporting. So we can show, which days of the week are your highest spending and then plan your resources accordingly. So like in this use case, you can see Tuesdays are actually a really high spend day. And then, we do have instance type by region, type of sideways bar charts, and then some other monthly cost distribution insights. We do also in the Reservation Explorer, we do have some like more timeline reporting. So we have what we call like a Gantt chart here. So you can see when reservations came into play, when they're expiring. This will help people plan accordingly to ensure that they're keeping on top of their reservations so their costs don't start to spike as a result of them expiring. And then this is also grouped by instance type as well. Similar to the other dashboard, you can select date ranges, services, instance types, whatever may be needed. And then we also have some utilization reporting here as well, which is talking about how well are those reservations being utilized? Are there certain periods in the month or year that they're being utilized better? And then also some reporting around instance type and how many of each instance type are on the books to make sure that it's matching their spend. They can, see if the instance types have enough reservations on the books to really match the instance inventory and then offset spend. And then we just have like a breakdown of other, KPI number metrics and query reports.
Yeah, so I was going to point out, because what's cool is as you're scrolling, it's at that point that the visualizations load. So for your compute cost in the back end, unless somebody actually scrolls down and looks at that chart,
True.
you don't get any of the, it doesn't just massively fire all of them
True.
against your warehouse at the same time.
Exactly.
I think you also told me, I know you can set this up for users to download data, but some of your users also, was it PDFs? What were they using?
Exactly. So we can see here at the bottom of each dashboard, there's going to be a function where you can download as PDF, and then you can share that out with other users in the orgs. We've had people use this as almost a mechanism for like a newsletter, or also sharing it out with leadership that, some C levels or, VP levels, they don't want to log into tools. They just want to have the data in front of them. And it enables them to just show up to meetings with almost like a printout for everyone to look at. So yeah, every page will have a download as PDF at the bottom. So you can share that out however you'd like.
That's great. So kind of pivoting some of the questions I had, could you talk a little bit about, just as kind of like a VP of customer success, how this affects your role and kind of your day-to-day?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, one, it enables me to support my customers in a way that they need, because we are a data-driven industry. And so if, they're asking specific questions or trying to even shift culture to more of a cost-conscious culture, these reports really enable us to support our customers in those discussions to say, for example, on the cost layer, they can go in and show leadership, like, look how this is, spend is climbing each month. Look at these spend drivers. Are they needed? There's so much data in the cloud, and this type of reporting really allows us to surface the actualities behind it. And it also allows us to layer in tag data. So customers can bring in their tag data and create reports, for example, at like the BU business unit level or cost center level, for example, so they can translate their costs in a way that makes sense to their business and their users.
I was going to ask, how did our companies cross paths? Was it through Snowflake, or do you have an idea of, was it a consultant? How did we meet?
Good question. So actually, a colleague of ours used to work at Sigma and, really bragged about the functionality. So we were like, okay, we can have a call. And we really liked the functionality a lot. To be honest, it reminds me of something as easy as like Power BI to like just go in and click, which I think a lot of people are, used to, but you can't embed that anywhere. So this is a feature that really allows you to drill down and get granular, which a lot of at least our competitors haven't been able to do. So this really enables us to support our customers, and we really liked the ease. And I think for us, a big decision maker was the drill downs were big. Also, the various report types, and the ease to really deploy this, and the support that we got from Sigma was really really great.
With all that ease, do you have an idea of like what the timeline was from when you got started to actually deploying some of these embed workbooks?
Yeah, so I believe a part of that was we had to do a Snowflake migration to really get all the data pipeline running faster. So that was a big part of our deployment, and that in itself took about 2 to 3 months. Once that was set up, we actually were able to create reports within a week.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because my follow-up question was going to be, was there ever a chance that you could just build this internally, and what maybe the value of build versus buy is? But I think 1 week kind of settles that question.
Exactly. I mean, for us, it really came down to um, being a startup. Obviously, our resources aren't as grand as larger companies, and so being able to spare our engineering team to be able to focus on supporting the existing tool set was really invaluable to us, to be able to outsource that to Sigma, and have our engineers work with Sigma, who has done this already and can just help us embed it and be done, rather than spend those engineering hours on deploying something and building something new.
So we actually have a question from the audience here, and I don't know if you do this in your reports, but the question was, can you export the underlying data of a chart to an Excel or a CSV? Is that something Archera ever looked at?
That's actually something that we can look at. So outside of Sigma, some of our standard simple reports are able to be exported into a CSV and Excel. Right now we have it as PDF because of the charts and the graphs. If we export it as a PDF, some of these beautiful charts will get to be displayed as well. But that's definitely something that we can look at as a team if that's going to be valuable.
Yeah, that's a feature that I always preface that, yes, you can, but only if you want to, right? So the security can be completely locked down as necessary.
Archera tries to be very customer centric and flexible to customers' needs. So if Excel is something that would be beneficial, or a CSV, and that's always something we will try to offer, since Sigma does have that feature functionality.
So we'll let more questions come in from the audience. Mike, did you have any questions you had about the embedded workbook?
Yeah, sir, this is really great to see. I'm curious, once you started putting this in front of customers, have you seen any ROI impacts so far?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely, customers are thrilled to be able to come back and say, our leadership is so impressed by what efforts we've done. In terms of like internal ROI for Archera, I would say precious engineering hours has been like our invaluable ROI at this time. Customers, they definitely feel the same because, I think historically they would have been tasked with having to go and either use, whatever fleet of reporting was already being used at their company and try to make that work, or even do this like in Excel spreadsheets, which can be very cumbersome to do each month. So I think the ROI is definitely there, even with our customers, where they don't have to spend the hours with an analyst anymore to output these reports. Like, just to give you background, I used to be somebody that was responsible for managing cloud FinOps at a very large biotech company. And I was tasked with having to create some of these reports in a reporting tool that took me hundreds of hours to do. So, knowing customers being able to save those hours that they need, to just come here, and have it available to them is a good ROI. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And aside from that, how has Sigma helped your team? Are you doing anything more impactful with these analytics now that you have Sigma that you couldn't do before?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of customer facing, we are offering, the most valuable is we can offer customer reporting, because we didn't have that functionality prior with the standard reporting that we had. And then also, cloud unit economics has been, something that we're able to, surface. So, these are some out of the box standard, demo metrics that we have here, but customers can get really granular in terms of like, cost per business, cloud cost per business unit, and get really granular with the KPIs that they can offer. We're also starting to internally discuss how can we use Sigma for our internal sales operations metrics and customer success metrics, because it's such a flexible tool.
Yeah, that dovetails into my next question. When you think of the future of Archera, customer analytics like this, or both internally, what's next for Archera, and how is Sigma helping with that?
Yeah, so we are going to be moving into a multi-cloud, scope here soon, and so Sigma is really going to help us support, filtering and displaying different cloud vendors side by side and showing the costs there. So that's going to be a big one for us, as well as, we are, partnering now with resellers and other partners, so the reporting is going to be really valuable to help enable them as well. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, we are starting to evaluate how we can bring in Sigma to give us some more visibility into how we can be, more successful, how we can tighten up our processes internally at Archera. So yeah, that's kind of what we have for the future, is to also bring this in internally and, enable our partners and resellers.
That's great. And we did have a question in the chat here. As part of this rollout, are you using Sigma at all to provide more of that raw data experience to your customers so they can create their own analytics inside your platform?
Good questions. That's actually something we're visiting for V2. So V1 today, we do more of like a POC, get their needs, we build them out for them. In V2 is when we plan to make this a bit more self-serve.
I think that's actually a great segue for our demo.
Yeah.
Sarah, thanks so much for actually taking us through this. Looks really fantastic.
Thank
But
you.
for that V2, I think, Mike, we can start kind of showing a little bit of the art of the possible there for building your own analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. I'll walk people through our demo of embedded analytics. Here we go. So Zach, Sarah, can you see my screen? Is this coming through?
Yes.
Awesome. So this is our Sigma embedded analytics demo. This is similar to Archera's use case. In this case, we're talking about retail and some supply chains. So I'm going to go ahead and log into supplier portal as a user called Alfonso. I'm going to log in, and we are going to be able to see this application. So as I mentioned, it's a supply chain retail use case, and we're using Sigma here to provide a couple built-in dashboards and built-in visualizations to all of our users. Now, though, what I'd like to do as Alfonso is I'd like to create some net new dashboards from scratch that I can share with other people on my team. So what I can do from this portal, I'm going to go up to create a net new Sigma workbook. I'm still embedded, still within this Acme portal, but now I have the full Sigma interface. I can go in, start pulling in data, build dashboards, and share them with other users. So I'm just going to start by pulling in a table here. I'm going to go find a data set that I've used before. And I now have the full Sigma interface with row level security applied, so I can only access the data that I'm supposed to. I can use the interface, I can use that spreadsheet, and I can start building visualizations to hand off. So I'll go ahead and create a pivot table. Maybe I get a lot of questions about our metrics broken down by product type. So I'll drag up to the pivot rows here, and year over year. So I'll drag day up to the pivot columns, right click, truncate this down to the year. And then maybe we want to show off a couple different metrics. So I'll just drag up maybe total order quantity, total order revenue. I can even add some nice conditional formatting here to make it easy to look at. I'll just drag this up to the top of the dashboard, and I'll call this product type metrics. So using Sigma, I'm able to just build this from scratch. I have that sort of, not quite an admin, but like an admin for my account interface where I can access all this data, build these dashboards. Now I'm going to be able to actually save this, share it out with other people on my team, people such as Zach. So I'm going to go save it under my Acme workspace. I'm going to call this 821 webinar demo. Go ahead and save that. And now this is a completely new dashboard inside the portal that other people on my team are going to be able to go into this portal, go find this dashboard, access it, and start using it. Zach, would you like to show that off?
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to take control here. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So I play the role of Franklin Fowler here. I'm going to log in. And I have less of a admin capability than Mike had. So I have all my existing analytic dashboards here. It's going to load for me. Visualizations applying row level security to just show me the revenue for the West. And again, this is a feature that you can enable as needed. This could just be locked down for just the individual tabs or just individual visualizations. But although I do not have the capability to make a net new workbook, I do have access to our workspace, and I can see new stuff that Mike builds for me. So, Mike, what did you call the actual workbook here?
It was 821 webinar demo.
There we go.
Even though it should be 921, I'm a month off.
All right. So already this is accessible for me. I can start sorting it the way that I want. I can see the row level detail, the same security is being applied for me. But like Sarah was showing, we can enable drill down out of the box. So if I'm looking at product type, but I want to see that by an individual region, I can start drilling into the Southwest and West that I'm that I'm responsible for, and then even go down to the individual store name. That did not have to be pre-rigged. This is still staying live on the data, and it's scalable for whether it's 1 million rows or 1 billion rows. So what's great here is that Sigma, within an embedded context, can save you a lot of time to not have to manage 100 different custom workbooks or 100 different custom configurations. So even downstream from the workbook was already created, Mike builds a new one, and now I'm an end user. I can still drill down where I need to and save as that this is my own custom, Zach view of his business. And that way I can come in every day. I didn't have to ask for a custom configuration. Somebody like Sarah did not have to build a complete net new asset for me to access within their portal. The same security still applies at the row level detail, and it's taking advantage of the scale of a very detailed table in a platform like Snowflake or Databricks, Redshift, Postgres, what have you. But that is, that'd be V2, Sarah. So that's us demoing at you.
I love that. Yeah, I was actually looking, especially I love that regional view that you had. I'm just thinking in terms of internally at Archera being able to do resource planning by seeing, where are some of our customers located. And so it's really cool.
All right. So last question I think I got from the audience here is some questions about the raw data, CSV, and Excel. For multi-cloud, Mike, I'll fire this one at you. Can I put a Sigma workbook in an embedded view that uses more than one warehouse? Like I have some stuff in Postgres and I have some other stuff within Snowflake.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can combine those in a single view. You can have visualization, one visualization pulled from Postgres, one visualization pulled from Snowflake. Wherever your data is coming from, show that to the end user.
And there's one more question about support. So Sarah, you mentioned support. Was that the Sigma support icon in the bottom right?
Yeah. No, actually, for us, it's in our reporting that I demoed.
Yeah.
That's actually ours. But the way we have our model is if there is a specific question, that our engineers aren't equipped, because our engineers have gone through some good training with you guys and learned from your support team. So if they can't figure it out, then internally our support team goes and works behind the scenes with Sigma's support team.
That's really cool. So the way it works is when you embed Sigma, you take down our support functionality from those users. So they go through your support team first,
Yeah.
but your support team still has access to ours behind. So you have almost like a layering of support armies.
Yeah. We have an army of support thanks to you guys. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we're coming up on about 40 minutes. I think that's about how much attention span I have for webinars. So I think we can wrap this up. Mike, thanks for your help with the demo. And Sarah, thanks so much for your continued partnership. Really excited to help work with you on V2.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the continued relationship.
All right. And thanks everybody for attending. You'll get a recording afterwards. And for more like contract questions about licensing, we'll be able to follow up with your account rep. They'll get into more detail. But thanks again, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.